Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. The new ban list has finally been dropped, and well, I guess Konami really shed the bed on this one. They must really hate all of their player base, their loyal fans. They have just literally shed on their Yu-Gi-Oh fans. With me, I have Nadir Mazzoni, Yu-Gi-Oh GlasgowYGO, Tom Watapiki, Elliot Womack, and Duncan Harbison, and of course myself, the Lithium Guy.
The lithium guy.
Nadir, do you want to start the stream?
Yeah, okay, so I think we're gonna do okay, it's exactly 11. This is pretty cool and relevant and stuff. We're gonna structure this, I guess, in 50-minute segments, or probably a little bit less for the first part. So we're just gonna quickly, for the first part, quickly summarize last format, like the adjusted list format, discuss what problems Konami had with that list, what like certain things they should have hit, or maybe like did a little bit more on, stuff like that. Kind of just like the issues that last format kind of highlighted. And then second part, we'll discuss this new list, everything about it that there is to go through, from the expected bans on things like Ptolemaeus, even discuss the new hits like Wavering and Chicken Game, which might have taken people by surprise, all the way down to everything that's been unlimited, like DMOC just going to 3 straight out the doors, fucking out of nowhere, getting into all that deep shit. That's probably going to take up the most part, and then I guess so once I could probably do it all together. So for that sort of full half hour, we'll be discussing all these things together, how it's going to affect the meta going forward. And then probably near the end of that, we'll also discuss some of the upcoming sets and support, and how that's going to make a big difference for that ban list, and how that's going to shape the meta. And finally, for the last 15 minutes, if the chat is going to be well behaved and doesn't spam Geeturtle all night, I'll let you guys answer some questions, well, ask some questions, and we'll discuss random things and juggle that along. So does that sound good? Yeah, it's a really good fucking discussion we're gonna have here, eh? Right. So
fucking get into it, mate.
let's get into it, mate. Is it like, do you wanna let me know what you think, Elliot? What do you think, Elliot, about like last format? Innit? Like what they do, man? What did they do?
I think it just got a bit stale too fast. Like there wasn't really too much to play around with. Everything like kind of pre-builds itself.
Do you think the adjusted list was fair? Like, was that when that dropped? Like, was that fair? Like, was that like a good list?
In terms of like all the investment, no. Like obviously people just got jibbed out a lot of money, really. But in terms of actual like playability, then yeah, sure, the deck was too strong.
Okay, but was it like a good format?
It was okay. It's not the worst we've had, but it definitely wasn't like super fun. Like we've had a few better. Like the previous ones were a lot more enjoyable, but we've had a lot worse.
This was for me like the worst format I've ever played, but I've only been playing since just like competitively since Duelist Alliance. So
yeah,
in that short span, this is most definitely, objectively, the worst format I've ever played.
Yeah, that's understandable. We had quite a lot of bad formats before Duelist Alliance. Obviously, Archetype started like seeming in after that point.
Yeah,
Maramel's Fire Fist, and they just like reigned over everything. And we had some decent formats from that. But before then, like you had Insectors, Wind Up Hand Loop, Macro Rabbit. They're all okay formats, but they weren't like as fun as debatably the ones afterwards.
Yeah.
Tom, what problems did the last ban list have that Konami didn't really address, or maybe overextended on certain parts?
Well, there is a lot of things, but I won't be too nitpicky about it. Floodgates are still going to be rampant, and nothing was done about them. That's a massive issue. Then they've literally just gone, because if we actually look at it, like the format, like obviously Pendulums are still the best deck, but it was a lot more closer, and they've literally just given Pendulums even more of a hit without trying to compensate it with anything else. So it's just basically going to be now his Monarchs and Cosmo and everything still at like a really good playable level, competitive events anyway, and then being like you're either forced to play these, or we're gonna have to try and find something else that doesn't actually suck, and it's gonna be a lot of effort. But I guess it's good. I think the whole thing of it is going to be interesting because we're gonna have to play around with a lot more different things now. So I don't actually hate the list that much.
Right. Well, I mean, I think like the adjusted list going in. I mean, I've been over that so many times in different videos on my channel and stuff, talking about how it's really part of a bigger problem that they hit a deck so quick. In terms of the actual hits themselves, I thought the hits themselves were fine. They probably could have hit a couple more things even harder. But like in terms of what it did to the meta, it's like, yeah, we got a bit more of a diversity. Draco Pals still arguably were the best deck. They took most spots in pretty much every event since that adjusted list. Any major event, they've always like taken most spots. And Burning Abyss obviously were just non-existent until Beatrice hit the field. But that's kind of something more to discuss a little bit later. But I thought overall the adjusted list was good, but it's maybe the fact that while we did have a diverse format, those decks kind of just sucked to an extent, because even though Draco Pals were just a massive glass cannon. Like, you can either open like a board that was just unbeatable, or you like could just do nothing. Like literally, like you could open like a bunch of traps and mismatching scales and stuff like that, and it would just like be awful. And then you have Cosmo, who have their own like issues of just being just a really like dull, slow deck in general. Like, it's a normal summon deck. It's gonna be very slow. It's gonna be very like, just very dull that way. And Monarchs, of course, were like a new deck. Everyone was excited to play. Nostalgia, etc., etc. It was really fun for the first like couple weeks, and then I realized, wait a minute, I'm tribute summoning in 2016. This gets old really fast. And obviously, if you're playing a deck that relies on a tribute summon, your ceiling is suddenly as tall as a toddler. So there isn't really much fun to be had with that, like, after an extent. So overall, I thought the format, like, in the list was good, and it did serve a lot of issues. But I think, like, while we did have a three deck format, like, we've had 3-deck formats in the past. We had triangle format last year in the shape of Cliffort Shaddolls and BA, just before Necros came out. That was a fun 3-deck format. This format is a 3-deck format, and it just wasn't fun. So, like, why is that? Does anyone know? Bradley, do you wanna have a go and answer that? Like, why is it not fun, despite the fact that it's kind of like in a similar position as last year?
Okay, so I kind of want to like answer the first question because I didn't really get a chance to talk about the adjusted list. What I wanted to talk about was like how it's weird because, like you said, the Cosmo and Pendulum, I think, were like, Pendulum was the best deck, but like that's if the deck got to play, because it is a glass cannon. But then, like, effectively, it could be argued that Monarch were like the second best deck because they like had really strong ways to just defeat the other decks in the format. So if we look at like the format as like a 3-deck format, because PK Fire really didn't like do a lot, or like it like came in at the last minute. So if we look at like the 3 decks, Cosmo, Monarch, and Pendulum, Monarch had the chance of stealing games with Domain. You either open in the Pendulum deck, you either saw you're out, so you just lost. And against Cosmo, like, Monarch just won because of something like Stormforth. But then the thing is, Monarch effectively loses to itself because it was renowned for bricking, and that sort of answers your question. In a way, in the fact that every deck was really inconsistent, or they just lacked any sort of skillful or somewhat decent interaction. So like the Cosmo Mirror is like who opens town first, or who is able to resolve a mojo, and then going into games 2 and 3, it's who sees system down first. Like all like that. That's just wrong. It's just ignorant. And then the Monarch matchup, whilst it could be argued that it's skill intensified to a degree, the mirror match I'm referring to, the mirror match is known for taking 40 minutes for a game 1, so a sideboard is effectively irrelevant. And then, like if that's, and then it could also just brick. So like nothing, and like nothing, and then the same with the pendulum deck. In the fact that the mirror and the pendulum deck, we watched the finals. We all watched the finals of Vegas together, so we can all really like sort of we can all agree that it was whoever went first effectively won, because Adam goes first, he sets up a board. His opponent doesn't really play. Then his opponent goes first in game 2, sets up a board. Adam can't play, and same in game 3. It's just that isn't good interaction. Like it's just ignorant as shit. So this format sucks because like there's no playing around stuff. It's literally did he open? It's like did he open this? Yeah. Well, he wins.
Yeah. Duncan, what do you think? Duncan. Okay, Duncan's. We've lost Duncan. Man overboard. Yeah. So I think to summarize, really, it's just like the last format. Well, the adjusted list format was like good in what it hit, and they were arguably like good hits and good ways to balance the format. But the decks themselves were just really badly designed decks that it meant that everything was very dicey. There was a lot less player interaction, a lot less reward for skill. Deck building to an extent as well was not really particularly innovative. So yeah, it just meant that like it just.
Could it be argued? I was saying, could it be argued that like by that standard or by that sentiment, the adjusted list wasn't correct? Do you know what I mean? Like if like they had done it to a certain different degree where like it wasn't necessarily as overpowered. The pendulum deck, if it wasn't necessarily as overpowered, and rather than hitting 6 cards, it might have hit like 4 or 3 or something. Where like that is going to be definitively the best deck, but like it's in no way means like a glass cannon or well, yeah, just effectively a glass cannon, but like it's a more.
I think it's like
I wouldn't say
unarguable,
well-designed
like
format.
the fact that like you can't argue that it didn't need hit. Like we could,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I agree
we
with
would,
that got hit.
we'd have to look at the great argument and like debate. Is one deck formats better than multi-deck formats, etc., etc. I think we can objectively say that multi-deck formats is what Konami wants and prefers because that's how they keep players involved and that's how they sell a lot of their product and stuff is by making sure that the meta is like somewhat like beatable by like certain decks, or at least they'll give support and credence and love to like fan favorite decks, like for example the upcoming Blue Eye support. So like it's fair to say that multi decks is the way that they're gonna go with regards to balance. So it's like, yeah, I think that perhaps like pre-adjusted list, was it really fine for Pepe to be like so dominant? I guess we'd have to discuss the format before that and say like was that really fun? Was full power Pepe mirror matches everywhere really fun for anyone? I mean that deck has its own problems in the mirror matches as the mirror matches have today. Like you have like Wavering Eyes as a blowout card, like sure Juggler like prevented that a lot. Like it was arguably a better format, like having this like sort of tier 0 format, but at the same time it's like Konami obviously don't want that. And there was no real way to like give Cosmos and Monarchs a chance, like unless they drastically hit Draco Pals, Pepe rather. Yeah. Drop the mic, Elliot.
Yes.
Tom.
Yo.
Anything to add on there?
No, not really. Like that sort of stuff I try and stay away from because I don't really like to discuss multi-deck formats versus thing.
But I'm
It's
sure you
just
can
something
agree that
just have
Konami
to
them
deal
like
with.
you can acknowledge the fact that whether or not you like it or not, like Konami like themselves, that's what they want, right? So you can kind of just just deal with it,
Oh,
right?
no, yeah,
So
for
if
sure,
you
for
argue
sure.
it from that perspective,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, everyone that knows me knows that I personally prefer like one deck formats in person, but like when I go to that, I mean heading towards like Necro's Dragon Ruler style, whereas like at the beginning it has a lot to do with your actual technical play, but yeah, I understand from like multi uh deck formats is what Konami leads towards. I mean, they both have their benefits and everything, and I feel like this one is literally honing in, like just getting rid of a lot more options than it's should be giving options, which is the opposite of what their banners usually have, which is kind of weird. But
Yeah, I totally agree with that sentiment. Like, the only thing that effectively happened was one deck fell off the map. It was just Pendulum. Like,
You mean for this
Monarchs
list?
is still. Pardon?
For this list? Or
For
the last
this
one?
list, I think that's.
Is that what you're referring to? This one or the last one?
I was referring to this one.
Okay.
yeah, the one that just happened like a couple of hours ago.
Okay.
They just removed the deck. They haven't fixed.
And by
Yeah,
removing that deck, you've also made Monarchs a lot worse.
Yeah, because like even
Why?
Nadir was, because like
That
Well,
was their best matchup.
huh?
Because Pepe was Monarch's best matchup.
I'd say that Cosmo was Monarch's best matchup.
Stormforth's great, but it doesn't stop you just getting killed by like a Cold Haunted. But like the fact that you could literally Stormforth a domain and just win the
But
game,
like once the engine gets going, it's pretty safe to say that that deck has the staying power, like insane staying power with Prime.
Yeah, and Cosmo's
yeah.
Cosmo's never
Like,
gonna kill Monarch through a Prime.
So I mean, yeah,
like the thing is,
Monarch's needed to stop Monarch's playing.
But like, same could be argued about the Pendulum deck. You know, like if they saw an Archfiend eccentric, like which is played a 3, then their deck is effectively playing. I mean, like obviously that's under the condition that it has established an extra deck or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the same sense. It's the same argument, really. I just felt like.
Like I feel like they were very similar in like terms of power levels. Like if a certain card resolved, they just win. But then like the fact that Domain just came in as an extra factor, while they still had to deal with the Stormforth and the Aether, while Cosmo didn't have to deal with the Domain as a problem. So it was just one less factor for them to worry about.
Yeah.
The buffs just.
Okay, so that's I guess our 15-minute intro to this format up. I'm not really sure the best way to like discuss, you know, the whole fucking package of what we just got right now. I think it might be a good way to discuss all the kind of like irrelevant stuff, not really irrelevant stuff, but non-meta stuff, because like if I say like, oh, what do you think of Juggler being banned, we kind of have to discuss Plushfire, and then we have to discuss Palmice, then we have to discuss everything else that came with it, and I can't just be like, oh, what do you think about, you know, Face Off being banned, because then we have to talk about everything else regarding pendulums that got hit, etc. So maybe beginning with like non-relevant stuff, not really non-relevant, just non-meta stuff, non-archetype stuff. So like Chicken Game got banned. What's that about, Tom?
Chicken Game was a degenerate card anyway, but the hitting of Chicken Game and Upstart was for basically just another way of getting rid of a lot of FTKs. Not only just with consistency, but with a lot of ways of how you get the difference of life points for like multiple different things, so like reversal quiz and for life equalizer.
Okay.
Surely, if that was the logic, they could have just put like Chicken Game to 2 or like Upstart to 2. They didn't have to like go full on Forbidden and Limited.
I mean, I think Chicken Game makes.
Stop pussyfooting about, ban the cards.
Like, I really liked Chicken Game and Upstart because it let you play like a lot of like really interesting decks. Like if you wanted to play like Uni Zombie Turbo and all this like quirky stuff, it helped that a lot. But obviously, like the fact that it just got rid of loads of stupid fucking decks is probably like worth the trade-off.
Yeah, but
in the end.
no one cares about personal bias. At the end of the day, a ban list isn't about someone saying, I like this card. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah, but when Elliot says he likes this card, he doesn't mean it from a personal point of view. Like, obviously, we're referring to it as like objective.
I'm just saying, like a lot of people like can like play with that card. Like a Uni Zombie deck, for example, has a lot of power. Uni Zombie is an amazing card, and it's enabled a lot of stuff in this game. But like, it obviously it promotes them decks to work. But obviously, it's a fair trade-off to like ignore them for a bit longer until they become a bit more relevant. You know, with a Lone Fire or whatever. To get rid of all these chicken FTK decks. Like, I'm saying that's a fair trade-off. But I'm just saying like there was a downside to all this consistency getting hit in as well.
Doug, are you back?
Now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Working now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Doug, what do you think about Chicken Game? Because I know you play that in a lot of silly things, not just FTK stuff. Well, you don't even play FTK, but you know what I mean. What do you think about that?
Like, Obviously, FTK stuff's really degenerate and that shouldn't happen. But I think that's the fault of the FTK cards rather than of chicken game. It means you can put a field spell engine into something. So if I go ritual based, I want to play some field spells, so I can play the terraformings, and then I can play chicken games as well, so I don't brick with multiple field spells.
Yeah.
You can do it with Infernity. You can do it in tons of decks. You just add field spells in.
Yeah, like I
So I
mean
don't know, I think
that's
that's
why
better.
I have really strong feelings on Chicken Game because I love that card because of the fact that if you play any like field spell deck, Chicken Game automatically like becomes like at least a very considerable card, like worth considering. What?
With terraforming and stuff, like it gives
Yeah.
it terraforming, not just a trick pony.
Yeah, it can justify multiple terraforming in a deck where you're playing a field spell as part of your thing, and I think that can have some creative things it can do.
Yeah, and I also really like the interaction that people were trying for a while with Sorcerer and Chicken Game, pop Chicken Game and get two searches and stuff like that. Like that was really cool. Like I get that it's the what?
Kuraz and Zephyros do the same thing with it as well.
Yeah, Zephyros as well. Monarchs obviously were playing Chicken Game for a bit as well. Like I really like the card because of the fact like it's good in field spell decks. It's good in decks that can remove the field spell in some way. And going on to the topic of like degenerate stuff, it's like I feel like Chicken Game itself, like a lot of people do like this card. I feel like if they wanted to hit the FTK stuff, they don't even actually necessarily need to hit Life Equalizer and the other thing, Reversal Quiz and stuff like that. They could potentially still keep that in the game. Like Chicken Game was arguably better for the game with no life point cost. Like that's actually what made it like degenerate, was the fact that it reduced your life points. It's actually funny to think about that if they just didn't give Chicken Game a cost, this card would have actually been more balanced. But the point is, like, if they did want to get rid of that stuff, like, I personally think that Upstart should have been banned because, like, I just think, like, I don't think it's in Konami's design philosophy to just let you play 37 cards. That you're literally just putting a blank card into your deck that replaces itself. I don't think, like, that's actually... I don't think that's good, like, card design. I don't think that should have, like, been a thing for as long as it has been. So, I would have just liked to see that card get banned. Moreover, the life point deficit that Upstart causes is very relevant to most FTK stuff. Likewise, Chicken Games, you're going to pay 3,000, right? So, that's 3,000 life points. That's still not enough for a lot of FTK bullshit. So, like, I felt like, if anything, they would have hit Pseudospace. Like, I would have liked to see Pseudospace get banned because... no one plays Pseudospace. I can't think of any like deck in history that's ever ran Pseudospace, ever, and like it's just weird because like if you hit Pseudospace, you probably inevitably like hit all the other degenerate stuff as well. So I would have liked to see that because it, like I said, it's nice. It's really fun to use in field spell decks. And yeah, it helps out like bricking and stuff like that, and it does introduce a nice dynamic to a duel where you need to consider the fact that if you leave your Chicken Game up, your opponent's going to get free draw. So it did have like that kind of interaction on like Upstart where it's just sort of like blank card, like you're literally just deleting 3 cards out your deck, which I don't think is very good card design. So yeah, any final thoughts on Chicken Game, Brad?
Not necessarily. I think that like the card, if I just think that like I understand it going basically. Like I'm not I don't think that the interaction could be interesting, especially when you consider all the cards like Sorcerer and Kuraz and Zephyros that benefit from it. I just think that it just makes sense that it gets banned.
Fair enough. Okay. Moving on to, there's really no need to talk about the expected stuff like Ptolemais and shit. Like, we've been here for like 4 months. We know what this stuff kind of means. Upstart, we kind of, I guess, sort of talked about. I mean, is there anyone really want to mention anything else about Upstart?
Upstart, as you said, is a card that's like I don't think people actually understand like how good Upstart is. Like Upstart is literally a card that says I don't have to play. Like I can play 3 less shit cards in my deck to make my combo deck much more consistent. Well, like it literally just detracts from the whole idea of you're supposed to have a 40 card deck.
Yeah.
And like I know people make a lot of jokes about Hoban and like especially recently going, oh, Hoban must be kicking himself because he's gone to 1 or something. But I did actually speak to Hoban at Berlin like a couple of years ago, and just saying, but we both did agree that it would actually be in the best interest for Yu-Gi-Oh for Upstart to go to 1.
Why one and not just ban it?
I mean, like it probably. I'm thinking about it. It probably could have been banned, to be honest. But I guess like
This is a
the
very
only
random
thing
thing, like to say like just limit it.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Thinking about it, like you saying that sort of makes sense. But then, like at the same time, then you're literally putting up start with like cards with like KSM Dragon and Painful Choice.
I feel like they can only justify having so many cards banned at any given time. Like, I don't think they want to just throw stuff on there if they don't have to.
I mean,
I don't know about that. That's
How-
an interesting point.
what's the difference in like percentage? You know, like for each upstart, because
Like 1% in an opening hand, like just thereabouts. Like per upstart is like 1% more consistency in an opening hand. A little bit more with 6 cards.
Yeah, it just feels like it being banned just makes more sense because like if the argument is that they don't wanna undermine the 40 card deck limit, they should just like people can just like if people can can't decide what they're gonna play as a 40th card, then like they still have the option of playing one less card in their deck.
Someone just asked in chat, like, are people still going to play one upstart? Like, yeah, you would still just play one upstart. Like, it's 1% more consistency, exponentially increasing as you deck thin and stuff like that. As the longer the game goes on.
It's a card that literally says. It's literally a card that says I can play one less shit card.
There's not 40 good cards that any deck want to play. Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, like most decks that you build today, like, don't need to be more than like 30 to 35 or something. So. Like, you're literally just putting in more cards that you don't want to run, like Painful Decision and stuff like that. Like, just stuff that just doesn't need to be there, but is there, but because you have 40 spots to fill. Okay, next one is actually an interesting one. Reasoning got limited. That's really random in my eyes. I feel like I just do not see what their rationality was like that for dealing with that. Elliot, what do you think of Reasoning?
I don't know, I feel like they didn't really want to hit Cosmo, but they wanted to like kind of show that they don't want Cosmo to be super good, so they feel like they're tapping it on the shoulder, even though a lot of people aren't even running it. Like it's like it is a hit to Cosmo, but it's not really. But I feel like they're just trying to get their motives across in that way.
I just don't get it because like I'm not a Cosmo player,
like
so I don't know this. But like, was this even run in Cosmo? I've seen it being run, but like, was it staple?
It's been run for a long time. It's just on and off, really. Like it's a very debated card.
Okay.
But that's what I mean. Like because it's like so on the fence. Like they didn't want to just hit E-Telly more. They just wanted to do something that kind of hits the deck. Like they could have maybe put like Call the Haunted to 2 or something. Something stupid like that, just to show that they wanted to nerf it, but it doesn't actually do anything. Like,
I just don't know what their train of thought was. Like, what was Konami actually thinking that hey, we need to hit Cosmo in some shape or form, so let's limit Reasoning? Like, I don't know. I feel like was there other stuff?
They didn't want an actual hit. They didn't want a legitimate hit. They just wanted to have something that kind of hit it. Like, what else could you have hit that would have kind of hit it but didn't really?
Yeah, like the Quantum deck played it, but I mean, was that really in the back of their mind? Probably not. So I don't know.
Probably not. It's a bit of it's a really good card. Obviously, like maybe they're like foresighting something. You never know. But
yeah, Duncan, what do you think of Reasoning?
I'm not really sure. It's like nobody really cared about Infernoid, so it must be for Cosmo.
Yeah, I mean, if Infernoids were a good deck, I would think that Reasoning would be a bit absurd, just because of the fact that it just skips the Infernoid. It's just absolutely crazy how like luck based it can get.
silly card.
It's a weird card to hit if you're trying to hit Cosmo.
Okay, so next non-archetype related card, Debris Dragon going to 2. Like, does anybody care about this?
No.
We don't have the errata yet either. The OCG has.
Debris Dragon has an
that
errata?
was fake. No, that was fake. That wasn't real.
Was that fake? Holy shit.
Okay, so nobody cares
like,
about.
why would we never get it?
What is this? What is the errata?
You made it so you could synchro with level 4s. That was the biggest change.
Right.
Yeah, you couldn't. It was like you couldn't synchro with lowers or something like that.
Yeah.
But, like, you could
Wait, I
synchro
remember
with
that.
highs.
Yeah, was that not actually a legit errata? Was that fake?
No, that was fake.
Okay. So yeah, nobody cares about Debris Dragon. Awesome. Alright, Allure of Darkness.
Nope.
So yeah, Allure's at 2 now. I personally don't like this. I mean, I just feel like some deck will abuse this like really badly at some point in time.
Well, they're not going to abuse it, but obviously it's just it can give a deck a bit more consistency. Like It might be a bad thing, but
Black Wings are almost at full power.
Hey! Oh shit! Oh my god! Wow! Don't give me ideas. Okay.
I mean, like, the fact is, whilst it can be argued that having like an additional lure might create some sort of incentive to create like faster paced versions of the deck we already have right now. Well, the way I see it is that we never played a lure when it was at 1 in the current deck, so we won't play it at 2.
I feel like with Upstart going
the
to
next set could change that though.
I
No,
feel
yeah,
like
cool.
Cosmo, for example, right? They have like they've lost 2 Upstarts, they've lost 1 E-Telly, and they've lost maybe potentially 2 Reasoning. So it's like there's room for, you know, potential plays of Allure. You know?
I mean, like Reasoning was it was played a lot less than like you expect. I mean, like because most of the Cosmo decks were built to go first, like most like every other deck. But Marvin Weber's deck from Prague, I think, played Reasoning because I think he built his deck to go second, and Reasoning just adds a bit of pressure when going second. So, but anyway, I think that I think it's completely subjective to the coming support regarding how effective Allure could be as a card.
Yeah. Alright, moving on. Unlimited section is all pretty irrelevant stuff. I mean, advanced ritual art. Does anyone care? No? Okay, cool.
No.
Tragoria, does anyone care?
Nope.
Yes.
Why was this thing at 2 for so long? Like, was there an interaction of sorts that I'm unaware of, or?
It was really
No,
strong card.
it was just really popular.
Okay, awesome.
Like back in 2009. Back in 2009, it was like one of the best cards.
Was it in the anime or something?
No, I don't think so. It
Okay.
may have been. I don't.
It's
I
just a
don't-
really strong card. It was a
Yeah, it was
special
just
summon that did so much.
It was a hand. It was basically a hand trap that was extra Gauze's because Gauze at the time was insane, and not only that, but it was a permanent change of heart. You could like ditch your level 4s to take their level 4s and stuff, and it would just you take them forever.
And you could overlay for free. It was like stupid.
Nice.
Well, back then we didn't have Caesars. We only had Synchros.
And
It was still
like,
played when XYZ's came
I really
out, though,
miss cards
for a
like
while.
Tragoria, you know, I wish like that's how the game was today. It was just like individual cards that were just good, you know? Like,
slow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that, you know? This like,
mean,
we have like
like-
archetype, like we don't have just individually like good cards anymore, you know? We don't have the 2016 equivalent of like a Breaker and stuff like that, you know? Or Gores, you know, we just have like, everything has like the same name at the start, etc, etc. Nostalgia,
I mean, like
moaning just now.
I mean, like it was pretty cool during those like XC's based formats where like you could max C and then your opponent be like, oh shit, I can't attack now because he's got like 6 cards in hand and like one of them could very easily be a Tragoria and I just lose now.
Ah, the stuff you used to have to play around, eh?
Yeah, because XYZ's didn't get overmatched, over Trag. You couldn't do it.
Okay, last one I think that's sort of irrelevant is, let me just check. Okay, Crush card. Right, this is a bit of a surprise. It just went from straight from 1 to 3. Is this going to be seeing play now
scared.
potentially as it's increased from
It's
1 to 3?
really good card. Fucking amazing card. Like,
Yeah, I definitely want to like consider playing this like as a pretty much I'm a Cosmo player now. I'm gonna go join up to Cosmo Duelist after this.
don't.
But like the one thing I'm scared about is when playing that deck is the fact that while Stormforth might not be effectively a win condition, to me it feels that way. It definitely feels like it's the turning point. They resolve a Stormforth and it puts you so far behind. It undermines the whole point of how Cosmo plays a deck. So I want to try playing a build, and like I hope that we get more targets in Shining Victories, but I definitely want to try a build where I can side Crush card against Monarchs, where I don't have to like lose to a Stormforth because I want them to like effectively work to get an Erebus back to hand. So yeah, I think this card being a 3 is like actually somewhat healthy.
I don't know if healthy is,
Interesting,
I don't know if
but
healthy is
it
the
could
word,
easily
but
Yeah, it could easily break a format further down the line. Like currently, like the only applicable
Yeah,
deck
yeah.
is like Monarchs, and I don't think it's like super devastating to be honest. Like they're still going to be able to tribute someone basically in any scenario.
Someone is saying that
just like it takes away a lot.
someone is saying that Monarchs can just send the rebus and add it back, but it's like you need to take into consideration. You've built up your hand advantage by searching. Multiple Monarchs would return. You've got 1 or 2 Monarchs on the field, so you're gonna lose like 3 or 4 monsters. Like with Crush Card, like even though you can add back the rebus, sure, you're still losing. The very, very, very important like Aether in your hand and stuff like that. Huh?
Like, it does set them back a lot, but like them them having like 3 or 4 monsters on is like irrelevant anyway because they can only fucking summon one. Like,
it's also
an awful tempo card.
Oh yeah, it's good against the new Blue Eyes deck. Is that good? Is that a thing to be good against the Blue Eyes deck?
True.
That's pretty relevant.
It could also be argued that like Crush Card doesn't necessarily have to be used during the opponent's turn, and the fact that you don't have to necessarily use it reactively. If you could use it during your turn to like stop them from aethering you or something.
Yeah, they can use Aether effect and then you just chain it. Okay, running out of time really quickly here, so let's see what's I guess like sort of an irrelevant one. The last one at least is Wisdom Eye Magician. I was really, really pissed off about this because I was thinking like, okay, if a Pendulum deck's gonna get hit, fair enough, but like at least we could have a good Pendulum deck to fall back on, and that's Magicians, which always go down under the radar because they're not that great, but they're pretty fun deck.
Yeah,
but like they lost.
Magicians is Sorry.
Okay, so they lost to Crobat, which hurt a lot, and now they've lost to Wisdom Eye. It's like I just don't feel like Magicians are even like worth considering anymore. Like,
and they lost 3 Chicken Race, so then Sky Iris loses value because Terraform.
Yeah, so now you can't play the Field Spell Engine, and that just sucks. What did you want to say, Brad?
Wisdom Eye going to 1 like removes like Magicians was like the game's only chance of having a somewhat healthy or balanced Pendulum deck.
Yeah.
And Wisdom Eye going to 1 just literally killed it.
I thought Magicians were a really, really fair deck.
Yeah.
But oh well, that sucks. I guess moving on to the Pendulum archetype, the Pepes, the Dracopal, etc., etc. So yeah, they lost the Jugglers, the Plush Fires, blah blah blah. We all kind of know this, but so the further hits include Face Off to 1. Ignister to 1, losing consistency with Upstart, but everyone kind of suffered from that. I feel like there was one more hit they suffered from, did they not? No, just Ignister and Face Off? Yeah, okay. So that's that's like losing the Face Off means that they now have 2 ways to access Ignister, which I feel like, was not worth. Like if they're gonna limit your access to Ignister, then don't limit Ignister, because now it means that you lose that 1 Ignister, you have no way to out a big ship, like unless you're American. Like I just don't understand like how like Pendulums can consistently deal with a Dart Destroyer now. It's just like really, really harsh.
Yeah, like, but this is exactly what I was talking about. Like this deck as a result, like it can't actually. There's no way that deck is officially dead, because like the fact is, if Cosmo still having 3 Mojo, having multiple strikes, it means that all they have to do is simply out the Ignister, and the game is effectively just over.
Yeah, like you cannot rely on your 1 Ignister anymore to get you through a Cosmo match. It's just not enough.
One thing I noticed is that and this is like a really just pointless upside, is the fact that Ignister being at 1 potentially means that the Winter Blossom card isn't
necessary. I know. Yeah.
Busted.
It's gonna be busted against Burning Abyss.
Well, it's obviously just as effective because it doesn't matter if they're banishing 1 or 3. But like, it's an interesting like meta impact because less people are going to be running it because Pepe is less of a threat. So then BA could technically sneak in there a bit because less people will be playing it. But it's probably
I don't know about sneak in. Like BA like is 100% like hands down up there for contender
of course,
best
but
deck.
Then Blossom still just dicks on the entire deck. Like, how do you recover with no Dantes? Like,
Live here.
Fuck off.
Logic.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we all know that. I think we all know for nationals we're all just going to play Synchro Fusionist because no one's going to get some Omegas for that Blossom, so we're all good.
Theory of probability. I mean, like if we all play it, like one of us will draw well all day.
Sick.
One last thing I forgot before we went into the archetypes was Thousand Eye Restrict. That got put to 1. So I was excited about this because I thought, yay, instant fusion, one card out the Dart Destroyer, and then it turns out that restrict targets, but because the card text is so old that it doesn't say target. Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand what the hype is behind that.
It's cool.
It's cool, yeah. If your deck plays instant fusion, you just throw a restrict in. Just spot removal.
Level 1 spot removal, yeah.
Yeah, mate, you fucking
Hey,
negative
Marks?
Nancy. It's restrict.
Hey, Marks, bait out their pilot tag and then tribute the fucking restricts. Yeah, fucking genius.
Did you not like Pegasus in the anime, Brad? Fuck's sake.
I only like the Toon Monsters. Restrict was like, what are you doing, man?
Oh yeah, summoning sickness deck. Nice. Okay, so restrict arguably just doesn't really mean anything. If your deck plays instant fusion, throw a restrict in to cover your second Norden if you're playing 2 Norden. Oh yeah, that's one more card we forgot to mention as well. Norden, that got put to 1. That's pretty much irrelevant. Like, not if you were playing Norden, chances are you were just playing 1. So that's kind of like
it's like they were anticipating the card to be busted.
Like, are there any FTKs that require 2 Norden? Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of them just use 1 anyway.
I think like you just use like
That's literally
Norden
the
and then you use like
definition of what
refusion.
Norden- Yeah, no, that was literally the definition of an FTK though, because you'd only activate one of the instant fusions.
No,
Oh, yeah.
like you can summon like Norden like with other methods though. And I'm
I
wondering,
think
like,
Blaze
is there
Phoenix
any
needs
lot of FTKs?
multiple Norden.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's some, but not a lot.
I don't think that's why they hit it though. I mean, I feel like a 1-card Xyz
No.
rank 4 was like probably reason enough to get it hit in some shape or form, either instant fusion or Norden, and they potentially might have kept instant fusion around at 3 if, you know, Cosmo felt like they wanted to play it for Panzer Dragon or something like that, or some silly reason like that. I don't know. Like, it does have its versatility in certain decks playing instant fusion. Madolche if you're into your diabetes and stuff like that.
Inferni. You know?
Inferni, mate. Inferni. Let's see. I think that's everything else that's non-archetypal that I'm pretty sure I've not missed anything. Okay, so questions in about 5 minutes. Let's see. Second last one to discuss, I guess Cosmo. They lost, well, the reasoning we've already talked about, and they lost 1 E-Telly. And yeah,
Oh my god!
I feel like
Deck's dead. 100%.
the deck's getting more
on.
support. It's getting a whole new wave of support, and Konami didn't think to like deal with, you know, ignorant cards like Dart Destroyer, would just completely ruin like deck design and, you know, archetype choices and stuff like that. Like, casual players hate Dart Destroyer. With Ignister going to 1, like 3 Dart Destroyers, like fucking being on a terrible acid trip, like I just don't understand like how this card stayed at 3.
They all about that dollar.
So is anyone gonna like say anything about Dart or Cosmo? Like, is that like?
What is there to say? Like, the only thing I can ever say about Cosmo is like, please let the new support, you know, make the mirror less AIDS, but it won't.
Potentially.
That's it. Like, the
That's
one
still
E-Telly
hard.
hit was irrelevant.
Okay, so Cosmo potentially best deck, AIDS mirror match, great fun. Everyone's loving the format so far. And finally we go to Monarchs, who lost dick all. Monarchs only got better with this deck. Duncan, you've been quiet. Come on. Oh wait, Duncan's gone. What the fuck? What a loser. Okay.
Duncan's gone.
Yeah.
It's again.
Okay, Elliot, tell us about Monarchs.
They lost 2 upstarts.
Oh yeah, they lost 2 upstarts. They gained an allure. You could play allure in Monarchs.
Same shit as usual.
Just like max out on your
Yes,
IDOSes
yeah.
and you can play multiple allures and I think yeah, that's it. Like, Monarchs didn't lose anything. Monarchs only got stronger because they have an inherently good BA matchup because Domain. They have an inherently good Cosmo matchup because of Stormforth. I mean, it really like they really are up there for contender of potential best deck.
It's a fucking bricky though.
Considering like the meta going forward, I feel like, you know, you could potentially just main like Chaos Trap Holes. Like, actually, like, you can hit Dantes, you can hit Monarchs. Like, that must be terrifying to play against if you're playing against Cosmo. If you're playing BA, or like if Cosmo with like multiple Chaos Trap Holes against BA, that sounds horrible. Yeah, and one final hit as well, I completely forgot. Wavering Eyes, I got banned, but it's all a little too late because no one's even going to play the Pendulum mirror match anymore, because no one's going to play the Pendulum match. So it's like, hey, they banned Wavering Eyes. not only have they lost a combo card to be able to search out their important one-offs like Crobat, like Joker, like Luster, like Eccentric for the outs and stuff like that. So it's not even a combo card anymore. Sure, the mirror match is now balanced, but there probably isn't going to be many mirror matches from now on. You can't even fix pendulums by, like, I saw some pendulum decks before running like a little mini magician engine with like 3 Wisdom Eye and a Pulse, just because you can use Wisdom Eye in the scale if you have a Performa Pal in the other scale, because magicians work with Performa Pals, and now you can't even do that. So like, yeah, magicians just suck now. Cosmo arguably best deck, Burning Abyss arguably best deck, and Monarchs arguably best deck. So we're going into it's not even like a triangle format. It's not like where one deck beats the other. It's just like they all kind of, like, I'd say Monarch has the favorable matchup. I think Monarchs are potentially like one of the better decks right now.
But Monarch's engine just outs everything inherently anyway. There was nothing that Monarchs inherently struggled with. It was just like outside sources like restricts, not being able to play around a strike, like just not being able to summon your guy. Like, as long as the deck could summon a guy and it resolved, he basically just won the game anyway.
So what do you think, like, best decks are going forward, Brad?
Like I said, I think I think Monarchs has, at the moment, based on what we have for Cosmo, I think that Monarchs is arguably the best deck because, like Elliot put it, they like inherently just have a lot of ways to just out everything. But I'm literally just gonna wait until the new support. I think that them not hitting Monarchs is an indication that they might think the new support covers it.
I just saw a funny post on Facebook saying, "Is it me or did Burning Abyss just win nationals again?" It's like actually a potential, like it will, like, but it will definitely win one of the nationals, like, without a doubt, like, even with Blossom potentially. I don't know. It's not great going forward. I feel like not much has changed other than we've just lost a deck. Like, that's really all that's happened, is we've lost a deck.
Yep.
Like, I would have liked to see Ignister go to 1. Sorry, not Ignister, pardon me. Dante go to 1, because I mean, you can still play PK Fire with one Burning Abyss, with one Dante. In all fairness, you just have to play a heavier PK focus. So that's unfortunate. Yeah. So I'm gonna start taking questions from the chat. So if you guys just like start spamming now, I'd really appreciate that. Do you guys want to wrap this up and say much of anything about what we've discussed or something we forgot and stuff like that?
It's still shit. Yay!
Yeah, the game is worse. This is dire. This game sucks.
Just get one less deck to play around with. Woo!
Is this going to be the ban list that we have for Euros?
Most likely, yeah.
Yay!
Not yeah.
My one of my buddies was saying that he hopes that Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon is in the is like an OCG import for in Shining Victories, so that way he'd play Blue Eyes at Nationals. I was like, I doubt it.
Nah, I don't think we're getting that.
If we do get it, Blue Eyes does become a series contender, right?
Oh, I'm playing Blue Eyes 100%.
Isn't it a movie promo or something? Or
Yeah, it's a movie promo.
Well, I'm probably just not gonna get it until the movie comes out.
That's
okay.
so gay, though.
So moving on to some questions.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
First question is why no strike limit? First of all, I have a strong opinion on strike.
Strike shit now.
It's shit now, but it's still a very, very good card. Like, even though it's not great against the current like deck, strike is still a very good card. But also, I don't really believe that they should be hitting traps. I feel like the traps should be getting only more powerful, because like the game is way too fast. You know, and the game, I feel, has been slowed down significantly by the loss of Draco Pals. So it's nice to see a slower format going forward. And yeah, I don't feel like strike was a problem. Strike is a very, very good card. It's just not great right now. Its only real implementation is against Cosmo, I'd say. Discuss.
It sucks. It'll probably be like subpar, or like it won't be as busted as it was in like a more pendulum based format, but strike is like a pretty busted card, or it's pretty powerful, especially against Cosmo. And then if that's going to be half the meta, then you know it's still going to be pretty strong. Ideally, Konami just don't touch that sort of stuff, because you know They like your manis. At least I think that's one of the reasons.
I think we need to get through this faster because there's actually a lot of questions to get through. Let's see. Okay, so talk about strike. Do you think Monarch should have been hit harder?
100%.
Really?
Stormforce like to 1 maybe, or Pantheism or Domain needed to be hit. These were like the problem cards.
I would have liked
They
to see
could have
Domain
just
get hit.
like a bunch of the cards to 2, just so then Pantheism isn't an instant rotor. I think
Yeah.
that's a bit unfair.
No, I don't know. I feel like the deck is really inconsistent. Like all it has going for it is like
It's
Pantheism.
not really inconsistent.
It's pretty inconsistent. And like I feel like yes,
It's probably more consistent.
I think like Stormforth Aether is like the deck's biggest play. Like the only card I would have liked to see go from Monarch is just Domain. Like just let other decks play, you know? Like if you're gonna Stormforth Aether me, sure, that's fine, but at least I get to like play. The deck is limited by its normal summon. Sure, it can search out lots of cool cards like Stormforth Aether and things like that, but I mean it's only gonna be doing this once per turn, and it's not a very fast deck. It's not really unique for its OTKs.
If the deck gets going,
Yeah, sure.
if the deck gets going, then like it's like it is able to like play during its own turn, is able to play during your opponent's turn and gain advantage and momentum throughout all of this. Like, and with the quantum build, like with the quantum build, it like has a lower chance of breaking, but that then with Upstart being at 1, you know, you have to kind of fill those gaps, and I think like it will probably. I don't think it would like brick as much as it was like when it first came out, but yeah, it can still brick, but that doesn't necessarily, you know, make the deck inadmissible.
Yeah. Okay, do you guys think that Pendulums could make a comeback with Odd Eye, Scales, and Shivi? I have no idea what those are, so I have no idea. Does anyone know what those are?
The new Odd Eyes monsters. As far I haven't read them, but I think I read them and they were like quite subpar. So at the moment, I want to say no.
Elliot, do you know anything about them?
I don't think they're very good.
Oh, okay, so you have read them.
Average at best.
Okay. When will they bring back Inzectors and stuff? Never. Why is Pepe bad now, since you can play the Dark variant? Pepe is bad now because you don't. It's not that like the deck is still good in the sense that you can flood the field, you can make lots of Xyz, you can still like do all that kind of stuff, but like you have 1 Ignister now. Like that's the issue. Like you can't get over
Like,
a Cosmo Big Ship. Like
It
if
was basically Ignister the deck before. Like you've got less access to your Ignister, you got less Ignisters. Like it's not Ignister the deck anymore. So what is it now? Like rank 4s are shite.
And Draco's base to 1 was a massive hit. Like it was the biggest hit.
Like even with Face Off being hit, like it could have been replaced, you know, with things like Mass Chameleon or something potentially. But like the issue is like Ignister is gone now. Like you cannot get over a big ship, you know, and that's like your biggest contender. You're gonna get shot on by Monarchs because like of Domain and stuff, and now your deck isn't like fast enough really to power into things like number 38 and stuff turn 1 to stop Monarchs. Yeah, it's just like it's a pendulum deck, right? So it's still gonna be fast and stuff. It's still gonna do like big explosive plays, but like it's going to struggle against ignorant stuff like Cosmo Big Ship, you know. It might do a little bit better in America because they have lightning, but other than that, like there is no consistent main deck way to get over a big ship for the deck, I think. Okay, so yeah, what the fuck? Why is Dante still at 3?
Because they want to sell more infinite gold, so they just keep stuff that makes PK Fire relevant.
I'm really worried that Konami will make another adjusted list, like soon. You know what I mean? I'm really worried about that.
I don't think.
Like, not even joking.
I don't think anything's broken enough.
No, it's definitely not
that.
Well, it might be boring, but they're not going to fucking put a list in for boring decks.
I'm not arguing that it'll be too broken. I'm just, it's Konami. Like they could just do anything at any time.
I think that's the reason that they do adjusted lists when it's like too broken, like 2 tier 0 or whatever.
What do you think about Destiny Heroes now? Okay, next question. What do you think about Despot? Okay, next question. Do you think any Shining Victory decks support could be meta? We have that new Shiranui stuff that looks like it's going to be good. And Blue Eyes, of course.
Apparently Sage is like pretty insane, but that's what Jordan said last night, and I don't know if it's if they get it all.
Do you think?
I mean, like with all the zombie support could very well make it like, because all the pre-existing zombie support could make it very good. You know, like even stuff like, you know, Unizombie or Zombie Master and Mizuki and shit.
I mean, Shiranui Sage is like a 1-card level 8, so I mean, like depending on how slow the format's going to be, that could be kind of decent. Because we are getting
Amorphages are shit.
we are getting that clear wing
thing,
right? What is that new synchro we're getting? That's really good.
Oh, Crystal Wing.
Isn't that
Yeah.
like really broken?
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
so like Shiranui's can make that with 1 card, I believe.
huh?
Do you ever
We're
think?
getting 2 new archetypes next set, but like they're both so fucking average. Like there's no definitive like good archetype next set. Like
Like what? Blue Eyes and what?
Like, well, no, that we're getting Amorphages and we're
Oh.
getting Lunalights. Lunalights are a fusion pendulum archetype.
So shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
they're
got some
terrible.
Cool cards, but...
Do you think that since Upstart and Chicken Game is dead, that monster slots will be the new draw spell? I read this in my head like a couple minutes ago. I don't really know what this means. Like, how do you have a monster draw spell? Like what?
Monster slots.
Okay, I don't know what you mean. Do you ever think?
Monster Slots is a spell card that actually says like reveal the select a monster on your side of the field, and then draw a card.
It's banish one out of your grave, I think, and then
Yeah,
draw.
it is.
And then if you draw a monster, you can special summon it.
Wait, there's actually a card called Monster Slots.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's okay. Someone played Infusions ages ago.
Oh, right. Do you ever think that Shaddolls will be back? I mean, not until Construct is. So
Not for another ban list.
Potentially, like as a side option, like for Shadoll Fusion, maybe. Tom's secret tech. Do you think
I
that
have no secret techs.
Do you think that Blue Eyes will be meta just like in the OCG? Because I believe they're worse than the other 3 decks. Will we need that exclusive alternative dragon or something to come, and then we'll see.
Yep.
I don't think it even with that it's good enough. I've seen it in action. It's really underwhelming. It's good against Burning Abyss because their fucking boss monster has a themed soul drain. I don't know why they gave him that, but okay.
We haven't seen it being played effectively though.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen Jerry play around with it.
Yeah, but who says Jerry was playing it right?
Potentially, I
Jerry.
guess. Jerry. Jerry does it.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
No, I'm not criticizing Jerry as a player. I'm just saying that, you know, who knows how long Jerry was playing the deck for? Does he know all the plays? Does he have the optimal build?
It's not the most simple deck. It's got quite a lot of options.
Okay, let's see. Should I play Inzektor Shaddolls for Aylesbury Regional? Sure, man. You'll do well. Let's see.
Good luck.
What? Why? Good luck. Why is Carriers in my A still banned? I think we've all argued that they could ban Hunter and bring that back to 3.
I'm my boy Magician.
Yeah. Hopefully for the DM support we get Eternal Soul. We still haven't had that yet. I mean, that's like ages away. That's not like national season. That's like the set after Shivi, right?
What's Eternal Soul?
It's a Dark Magician trap that specials a Dark Magician from your hand, or
Oh, that thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really
I thought
good.
that thing was out already.
What's the set that gives us the pot card that lets us draw 2 cards?
no idea.
Wait, what card, sorry?
Pot of Cupidity.
Oh, that thing. Ugh.
I don't know if that's next set, is it?
That's in
I
Dark
think that's
Illusion.
Dark.
Dark Illusion,
It's
yeah.
after. Yeah.
Can spellbooks be good if Norks and Cosmo are the best deck because it has an easy matchup? Spellbooks. Okay, I'm only going to humor this question because Alex is asking it. What the fuck does spellbooks do today that can make it good?
They fate a Dark Strider and then they lose the game.
Okay, but like you're not gonna die after that. So they fate your Dart Destroyer and then you get poked for like 500, and then you can like Cosmo turn it back and stuff. No.
And then summon Farm Girl, attack over your farm, attack Blue Boy, and then you're dead.
No, but the thing is that the fact that you do fate, and then like even if they banish their guy, you can just banish whatever they summon.
Okay,
So shit.
Try it out, man. We'll see. Okay. Let's see. Questions. Monarchs came out less than 2 months ago. Do you think Phantom Knights are good this format? Clearly, yeah. Like with Burning Abyss, anyway.
We get a new rank 3 technically next set as well for BA, and it's really good.
What was
card?
it?
The digital bug.
Never heard of this.
if you basically summon Giga Brilliant and then you basically overlay it on top of Giga Brilliant, and it detaches to shuffle in defense position monsters. So it clears a Beatrice in the mirror and stuff like that. Pretty big.
Someone's asked this question twice, and I don't know why. Like, this person is so adamant to find out. Why are Necros cards worth so much? It's, I don't know. Like, people probably still play that
They're the
format or
best cards
something.
ever. They're the best cards ever. Next.
How viable are Sylvans? Year 0. What zombie support?
What format you playing?
Can we skip these questions?
I'm just scrolling through them. I think that's most of them. Could Dragoonity make a conduct with? Okay. Yeah, that's it. I think. That's pretty